Так, продолжаем. Закрыто. Так. Тут закрыто.
The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction.
Ага,
Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself?
По потолку.
Hang on.
Теперь.
Got a bit weird back
Чё?
there.
Ладно.
Well,
Идем
I'd like
дальше.
to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Черт возьми, клевая упоротая музыка. Пам-пам-пам, 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 пам-парам-пам-пам-пам, пам-пам-парам-пам-пам. Чё, круто. Чем я только в этой жизни не занимался, но бегать по желтой полосочке под упоротую музыку — это то, чего я хотел по стене. Это то, чего я ждал всю свою жизнь. Это упорото.
Cut the music. Go back and look at that fern.
Твою мать.
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Папоротник. Чё? Ладно, окей. Как его запомнить? Посчитаем листья. Раз, два. 418 листьев. Я тебя запомнил. Идем дальше. Музыку-то включи обратно, чувак.
Wait, what? We're back at the office?
Чё?
No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Окей. Пойдем дальше. Это упорото. Ладно. Жалко, упоротой музыки с нами больше не... твою мать.
No, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you.
Ну, может, ты меня пустишь?
Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it.
Просто опусти меня вниз. Ладно. Опять эта полосочка.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious.
Ну, в принципе, да.
This all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know.
Ну, пожалуйста,
How
сюда,
about
сюда.
this
Давай,
direction?
ну, сюда, 430. Ну, пожалуйста. Ну ладно, 437. Но обещай мне, что потом мы вернемся в 430.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything.
По-моему, мы ходим
What do you
кругами.
want our story to be? Go wild. Use your
Или у меня
imagination.
просто глюки.
Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Ладно.
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it. We should be fine.
Конечно, я не вижу этой веселой желтой полоски, которая, сука, пробила потолок. Ладно.
A choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control.
Okay.
How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Чё?
Oh, Hold up, what's this?
Ладно.
The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game eight times?
Так, хрена
That's really
себе.
how all this goes? It's all determined?
Whoa.
So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall.
Confusion
Well,
ending.
who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer
Ой,
stopped.
что-то сломалось.
Does that mean
Что-то
did
со
we do
страшным
it?
звуком сломалось.
Did we
Пожалуй,
break the
спрячусь-ка я
cycle?
за стульчик.
The whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
Чувак, ты сломал игру только что.
So, okay. I guess now we just wait.
Блин, я чё-то ссу.
I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the
ну да.
destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the
Закрыто.
journey and not the
Закрыто.
destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime...
А, черт, опять перезагрузка. Как долго ждать? Давай, давай! Ну ты сможешь. Ну еще чуть-чуть. О, нет полоски. Чё, все сначала, что ли, с самого? Ну ладно.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Стоп, мониторы.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ладно. И я по-прежнему не могу прыгать. Это печально. Как же без прыгания-то? Ух ты. Кнопочка. Ну пустите меня туда, ну пожалуйста. Ага. Так.
When
Ведали
Stanley
снова.
came to a set of two open doors, this was
Иди
not the
нахер.
correct way to the meeting room,
Да
and
знаю
Stanley
я.
knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
О, ну-ка, стоп. Желтая полоска. Я тебя нашел, да.
Wow. Yes. This room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Так. А если я не пойду в первую дверь слева, я вернусь снова сюда. Так, так.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he
Из
wasn't
себя
5
знаю,
years
что
ago.
хреново следую указаниям. А что если...
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Ладно, окей, я понял, что это была плохая идея.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
Он что, погоду не видел? Хрена себе, их тут зомбировали, походу. Хотя, с другой стороны, офигенная работа. Тебе платят деньги за то, что ты сидишь и просто тыкаешь в одну кнопочку годами. Ты просто... Ты как бы... пропускаешь всю свою жизнь мимо себя. Хотя это и достаточно глупо. Итак. Двери... Стоп. Что? А, опять I hate Mondays.
When Stanley came to a set of two
Жопа.
open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew
вообще.
it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so personally to Stanley?
Oh.
Its grace? Its subtle charm? No. Stanley knew it was something deeper.
Опа.
Something
Чё, камера, что ли?
darker.
А, нет.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Да не пойду я в твою грёбаную дверь слева.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Туда я падал уже, а что если... Оп.
Oh, well, look who's got cold feet. Sorry to break it to you, Stanley, but that lift isn't coming back. You'd best either get comfortable right here on this
Чё,
platform,
опять вниз? Может,
or
не
test
надо?
your luck by jumping
Нет,
to
ну
the
правда.
floor below. You know what? Looking at it now, it's not that far to the bottom floor. I bet you can make it.
Не, чувак, я не хочу, я разобьюсь. Пустите меня
I'm sure
обратно.
you'll survive the jump. Don't tell me you're scared. That's not the Stanley I know. Do it! Do it! Do it! Do it! Do it! Do it! Do it!
Не, чувак, я упрямый. Я буду здесь ходить, пока не посинею. Do not jump from the cargo lift. Окей, не будем прыгать. Какие у нас еще есть варианты? Снова подергать дверь. Нет, плохой вариант. Эта дверь тоже закрыта. Так. Так, я не могу прыгать, это весьма печально, это меня расстраивает. Так, что же мне делать-то? Залезть хоть на маленькие ящички. Правда, можно залезть на маленькие ящички. Так, что же делать-то? Действительно прыгать, что ли? Не, я правда, я не верю, что надо прыгать. Может быть, есть какой-то вариантик, типа... Нет, убился. Ладно. Ладно.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was.
В таком ярком освещении. Так, где мы экономили у них на свете? Выключен. А где кнопочка, которую надо тыкнуть?
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time understood
Счастье
true
от нахождения в
happiness.
какой-то сраной
Then the
комнате
feeling
отдыха,
went
в которой
away,
толком
and
ничего
he
нету.
felt sad again. Then it came back, and lingered for a minute or two. Now it's only half there. Just a kind of, tingle. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Иди ты в жопу со своей первой дверью слева. Хотя не. Я хочу посмотреть, что там.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Поехали.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
Да мне
There's
плевать, что
someone you've
история
been
все про меня.
neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Кого не
Stanley.
иди нахер.
Your chance to
У меня
redeem
своя
yourself.
девушка есть.
To put your work aside, to let
нет.
her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Скажите дальше, мне лень. О, телефончик.
That's
А
her,
что если...
Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your... Oh, no, you can't... Did you just unplug the phone?
Да.
That wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. It's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits.
Вариант, конечно, тоже неплохой,
is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person.
Только сейчас до него дошло.
I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you've made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Так, и чё, реально? Выбор. Не, я не буду это для вас переводить, слушайте просто.
But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Stephen has a choice. He could spend years helping improve the quality of life for citizens of impoverished third world nations. Or he could systematically set fire to every orphan living in a 30-kilometer radius of his house. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack and crack."
О, практика. Я уж подумал, на синий экран смерти вылетел.
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Whoa,
you may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
А телефон обратно. Розетки нет. Понятно. Отличненько. А чё, больше нет дверей никаких? Это не откроется? Ну ладно. Чё, вообще все закрыто? Ну ребят, ну где свобода выбора?
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Сволочь. Я прыгну вниз как-нибудь, я не знаю. Тут все закрыли, блин. Дверку открыли для меня вот. Ай, спасибо им, прям ня-ня-ня какие. Так, тут окно закрыто. Закрыто окно. Так, я в него не пролезу. Ну, блин, упустите меня хоть куда-нибудь. Черт возьми. Это начинает поднапрягать маленько.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending. The story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
Я не хочу обратно к себе в офис. Не хочу.
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Иди в жопу. Я упрямая скотина.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too
Все
late.
сломалось. Дистракшн маленький произошел. Круто. Ничего не скажешь. Воу, полегче. Тут даже циферки смазались. Ладно. Там история уже ломаться начала. О, черт.
I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that you... My story! You've destroyed my work! Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to.
Нет, чувак, не выключай его, не надо. Ты, кажется, что-то сломал. Где свет? Свет где? Ау. Ну, ладно.
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are.
О, это из этого захода 2 двери такая, так же ломается.
It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground.
Да что ж меня никуда не
Did you think
пускает?
that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard.
Что?
Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right.
Что?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ладно, на этот раз все-таки пойдем в левую дверь. Хитрая скотина, которая включила мне чекпоинт.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Закрыто, черт возьми.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Тут исчезла надпись. Так. Опа. Это что за кабинет такой?
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Nightshark 115. Au. Au. Nightshark 115. fuck?
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Так я сказал, блин. Чувак, ты чё? Night Shark 115.
I'm sorry, is there a problem?
Подождите. Так. Strafe. Modifier. Нет, тут нет кнопок, чтобы говорить.
Didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
Night Shark 115.
Okay, fine. You're not gonna do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward.
Чё? What?
Stanley came to a set of two open doors. He entered the door on his
Меня, кажется, тело отломали. Ну да.
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice.
The end.
I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me?
Что?
Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important.
Разработчики поползли.
The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than...
Ладно. Так. О, можно сохранить игру.
You can ever know.
Ладно, продолжим. Посмотрим, что будет.
The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
Там рассказчик с ума сходит. Чё, и всё? А, вот и перезагрузочка. Опять. Опять сначала. Так. Ладно. О, дверь сама закрылась. А рассказчик что-то молчит. Видимо, ему что-то это перестало нравиться.
Hi, Stanley. Just wanted to leave you a message to let you know there's a few things I need you to pick up on your way home from work today. We need milk, cereal, dish soap, spaghetti, get a thing of sugar, some bread, and coffee beans, whichever ones you like. I'll give you a call if there's anything I forgot. Thanks, sweetie. See you tonight.
Окей. Я не понял, в чем был смысл, ну ладно. В смысле, я понял, в чем был смысл. В чем был смысл ответа на звонок. Так. Так. Опять все к черту закрыто. И рассказчик молчит еще. Он там, видимо, уже повесил.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Опять.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Так.
Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, giddy in a way he had never known before. Was it this room? A connection between the two?
Любить
Could
комнату.
a man love a room? I
Допустим.
mean, truly, deeply.
Тут
madly.
какая-то еще надпись есть.
Love.
Coffee nut. Ладно, пошли дальше.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Так, закрыто все. Все к чертовой матери закрыто.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Так, так, так. Ладно.
Look, Stanley, I
что,
think
если мы
perhaps
всё-таки
we've
возьмем
gotten off
трубку?
on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me.
Стэнли всю жизнь сидит и втыкает в монитор.
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life.
Ну ладно.
She's been waiting.
Да возьму я вашу трубку, возьму. Все, я взял трубку, да? Да, все норм. А почему опять 427?
Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling
А
your
я
bread out
могу
of the
уйти
oven.
или...
All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your
чертов манекен.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here,
Ну, в
Stanley.
текстурах застрял.
I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
О, меня отпустили. Ага.
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Твою мать. Ну пусти меня куда-нибудь. Манекен.
This is
Ненавижу
a very
манекенов.
sad story about the death of a man named
Смерть?
Stanley.
Может, не надо?
Stanley is
Ну
quite a
ладно.
boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Такое ощущение, что он сейчас за компом сидит и на кнопочки тыкает.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Ну ладно.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands.
О, а что же
It
у
was
нас там
wonderful.
интересно?
And
Ну
each
правда.
day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the
фантазия?
earth. The thought
Просто
excited him
чертова
terribly.
фантазия и все. Ладно.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
О,
As he wandered through
Whoa,
this
всё
fantasy
меняется.
world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
ха.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Окей.
But there is no answer.
Черт,
How could there
опять наш
possibly
стол.
be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Окей, давайте будем просто сидеть и ждать. Давайте будем ждать, не знаю, там, потыкаем куда-нибудь. Но почему надпись-то не исчезает? Чё, у меня нет вариантов, кроме как нажать? Или все-таки есть вариант? Черт возьми, я не знаю. Давайте, ну, типа нажмем.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't. Not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again.
Что, пожалуйста, умрите? Какого хрена? Нет!
And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I
О, черт. Ладно. Это было неожиданно. На такое я не рассчитывал. Где я? Почему я... Не, я в себя в офисе, но не у себя в офисе.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Ну, ладно.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Опа, дверь открылась. Welcome to the whiteboard ending. Console 7 bar. 7 buck. У меня консоль выключена. Ладно.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ладно. Так. Нет, везде все не то.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Ну ладно. Давайте-ка сходим вниз.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Так, красная лампочка.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. What a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought.
По-моему, Стэнли психопат.
And when he thought it all very odd, and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons.
Ну, мне это не надо, конечно, но проснуться тоже неплохо будет.
I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine.
Ты как у малышей. Это норма.
Okay.
Нет. Ничего не изменилось.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Чё? Кто свет выключил?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Какая нафиг Мариэлла?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body.
Похоже, она такая же
And then she
сумасшедшая.
turned and ran.
Ладно. Это очень странная игра. Зато прикольная. Мы все там же. Что ж, предлагаю на этом закончить. Короче, всем спасибо, всем пока. С вами был я, Владимир или Белчот. Увидимся когда-нибудь в следующий раз.